Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to start something new at 004. We're going to be doing these short little video clips where we're going to be looking at pertinent topics in mobile commerce, pertinent topics in mobile in general, and also taking a look at news that comes over the wire with respect to both. Now today I want to talk about beacons. So beacon technology is definitely one of those topics that is definitely top of mind in the retail space, but also outside of retail, because there's obvious use cases and benefits that can be applied outside of a retailer's brick and mortar store. Now, what beacons are these guys right here. This is a beacon manufactured by Estimotes. This is a beacon manufactured by Contact.io. But they both do the same thing. They are Bluetooth low energy devices that are used to essentially power proximity marketing campaigns. The way that works, if you look at the retail example, a retailer will put a beacon, let's say, next to a piece of display advertising, and they'll use that beacon to trigger a notification or a piece of high-value content that will appear on their mobile application. So where the customer is actually engaging with that piece of content. So that leads to my next point. So the beacon itself, by itself, can't really do anything. It needs to be able, in order to have that full circle ecosystem, so to speak, that's full circle ecosystem experience, especially on the customer side. You need to have a beacon, and you also need to have a mobile application where the user is actually engaging with that piece of content that's actually triggered by the beacon, triggered by the user's proximity to that beacon. So that piece of high-value content can be a photo, video, audio file, or even a coupon or discount. Now, there's some things that I want to actually cover real quick that are I guess could be listed as my pet peeves with respect to beacons. First of all, like I said, the beacon itself doesn't really do anything. So when you hear the word beacon or actually read an article about beacon, it's more about the entire ecosystem, right? So what's actually required to actually really get the full value of that proximity marketing campaign. That is the beacon, the application, you need a management console, and obviously you also need the user to actually be engaging with that piece of content. Second, it's beacon, not iBeacon. iBeacon is a registered trademark, a registered term by Apple, and simply refers to the piece of the code base, if you will, to keep it simple, that will be released in the next iOS, the next release that'll actually be able to power proximity marketing campaigns or support proximity marketing campaigns within the code for applications that are running on iOS. So you're looking at iPhones and iPads. One more thing. I think it's extremely important that when folks in the space are actually writing about this topic, especially the folks that work for industry rags and write white papers and are looking at research and doing business intelligence, that they not only get that beacon versus iBeacon piece right, but also when they're talking about iBeacons. I know that there's been a lot of news recently. Everyone puts on their prognosticator hat at this time of year because it's just about a month away, usually, from Apple's next big announcement, which generally speaking every September is a new iPhone product, a new OS release, and also can be any other number of announcements, generally on the software side, but maybe hardware this year as well. I think it's important that people, when they're talking about iBeacons itself, especially because one of those announcements could be that Apple actually releases their own compatible product, really to kind of bring that full circle, which would be in keeping with Apple's model of actually creating a fence and moving everything inside, so creating the entire ecosystem, or creating and controlling the entire ecosystem. However, I think it's important that people note that they need to also talk about the limitations of that type of strategy if a retailer or anyone's actually just going to use an iBeacon's suite of products and services by Apple. Simply the fact that the question is, will that support Android devices, right? Will Apple release a across-the-board, open, more holistic suite of services and products, or will it just be limited to iOS and limited to Apple devices? Now, I personally think it's going to be the latter, and that opens up some serious questions about its viability long term to be used by retailers and other folks who aren't necessarily concerned with market share, or market share with respect to particular operating systems. They're worried about the whole pie, every customer, not just the customers that are running Android or not just the customers that are running iOS. They really need to actually focus on the whole pie. So, to summarize, beacons, terribly relevant, going to have a huge impact, not only in retail, but I think across the board. If you just look at retail, I think it's going to have a huge impact because it's in keeping with the idea of this omni-channel strategy, right? So actually, retailers that have brick and mortar e-commerce operations and mobile commerce operations actually using beacons and like technologies to actually lower those barriers and improve the seamless customer experience, which I think is extremely important because from a customer's perspective, they want to have the same positive experience regardless if they're actually buying that product online or buying that product in store. And moreover, they expect that mobile device, if you have a mobile application, to be able to link the two. So I do think that there are huge opportunities there for beacon technology and proximity marketing campaigns, but folks need to make sure that they actually get it right. So beacons, not iBeacons. Bluetooth low energy devices, the beacon itself is generally powerless, generally useless. It needs to have a mobile application tied to it. And I think it's very important when people are talking about iBeacons especially to also ask the question, is it a viable solution long term for a retailer or any brand that needs to engage with customers that are not just iOS users but also include Android users and other OSs as well. So I will talk to you tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the first go around. Have a good day.